We good.
Hey, welcome to BS and Viewpoints. I am a very hurt with a debilitating injury, Cuddy Coastal. I put Coastal at the bottom this time. Hey, what's up? How's it going, brother?
It's going pretty good, man. Just sitting here watching the snow melt, man.
Oh yeah, it's 70 down here today. Don't trip. I'm glad it's warm in Texas because that snowstorm kind of killed them. And I know you seen your boy Ted Cruz took his whole family went to Mexico. We were
Yeah.
already planning this family vacation.
No,
Great timing, Ted Cruz.
he's trying to say he was just dropping his daughters off. He didn't meant to come back. But it was like, no, your plane ticket was originally set for like the end of the weekend. So you plan on staying.
Oh yeah. That's what I would expect. What do you expect, man? People are survivalists, and no matter what you say, Ted Cruz was going to watch out for his best interest. Man, a lot of these people in power, most of the people in power, don't care about the people.
Yeah. That's pretty well.
This
That
does
should be
not
well
shock
known by
me.
now.
Yeah,
That should be
what'd you
well
say the
known.
governor said? I'm not saying the governor, but
The
but
mayor.
it was some person, the mayor in some city in Texas. What did he say?
He said it's not the local government's job to help the people out of a bad situation. If you are adults and grown-ups, you should find and provide heat for your family and food for your family on your own. It's not their jobs. So everybody suck it up. No. That's a lovely
Oh,
statement to
okay.
say. That's a lovely statement to say about your own people when they pay taxes for that when something goes wrong, the government can help out.
Which pay your salary.
Yes.
I don't like wishing bad luck on people, but I hope a funnel cloud just circles around this house and bang, tornado. It's a few houses, all of them his. And then you tell me what's going on. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's like
said it.
yeah, that's just amazing to me. Like it's this whole situation is the politicians' fault, but they're trying to act like the people shouldn't expect them to help. Yeah, I think they're the ones who deregulated their power grid. They're the ones who decided not to attach to the national power grid and separate from the national power grid to have their own. They're the ones they decided not to winterize anything because they felt like, why do you need to winterize something when we don't get winters? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, they should know. I remember one year I was watching, football. Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys always play. And this was in the 90s because this is when the Cowboys was good. Let's say 95, 96. And they were playing the Miami Dolphins. It was a snow game. So I know it's a snow in Dallas. And I've watched the Weather Channel. It snows. It's not often. I'm not saying they get 2 feet a year. I'm not even saying it snows there every year and sticks. But I'm saying it can. And just with everything going on, I'm a person that's a firm believer in climate changes. I just believe it is what it is. When it comes to that, I believe that it's going to be issues with the weather. I believe we're going to have freak storms. Where I'm at, I'm in Georgia, and it was below freezing several days, and I'm not sure if that's typically what it is. And living up in Ohio a few years ago, I remember we had that freak storm, and it's like they say, "Oh, this is a storm that ever comes once in every 100 years," but now it seems to be coming every 3 years because every 3 years we get some type of crazy weather where it's 20 below and we breaking a high or we broke a high that was or we're really close to breaking a high, and the only reason why we didn't break it is because a few years ago when it was really cold, that's when we broke it. But if you look back at maybe the last 7 or 8 years, I think we had 3 weather occurrences up north that only they said happens every once in 100 years, and it's happened 3 in like maybe 8, 9 years as far as the cold. And at some point, you just got to say this is happening far too frequently for it not to be some type of connection.
True.
But yeah, so just like below freezing temperatures and this, that, and the other.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's sad. I hope the people in Texas are good, but like you said, this is a quasi joke, whatever it is. I sure hope the people who had bad food in Texas, like you said, how can you have bad food in Texas when it's cold outside?
yeah, you just take stuff out the freezer and put it outside. How do you not
I had
realize
a,
that you can use the cold weather to keep your food cold? You know,
for your
or
benefit. Yeah, I had a homie growing up. We was little. This is how I know I lived in poor times. Went over his crib. They ain't had no fridge, homie, and they had like two coolers on the front porch. And they literally, it was the wintertime. They kept their food out there.
yeah,
Real talk. They kept their food out there like a few months while they got it together. It was the wintertime. It was cold. Man, we would take like icicles and put it in that joint. Like put it in the cooler where they meat and stuff was. And that's how they would keep them cool. We would take icicles from the side of the house, drop
yeah,
it in there, keep it cold, dump the water out. They had one where they put ice in. They had one where they put a lot of ice in. That was like the frozen stuff. And they had one that wasn't that bad. That they had like the stuff that needed to be kept below like 40 degrees. Well, below 40. What is it? 42? Is it the temperature fridge supposed to be?
41 below. It's 41
Yeah,
and below,
41 and
but
below, somewhere in that range. Yeah, so it's somewhere around that range. It's just interesting. Oh
yeah,
man, this is a thing that happened in Fort Wayne on Wednesday. Oh, might have been. It happened a few days ago. Actually, it was Monday. I want to say it was Monday over the weekend, where these three black young men, 19, 19, and 20, had a dispute with a guy in Fort Wayne, Indiana, with the white guy, and they're calling it a hate crime. They got into it. Dude, leave. He just couldn't let the situation be done. He leave. He come back. Killed two of them and the other person fighting for his life. I was kind of shocked. But then again, I should be thinking I'm not really shocked at anything that happens on race. I'm just shocked at the nerve of him. Because usually if you there and you got the weapon, then you still wrong. But that's one thing because you could have left. But you left and came back. At that point, that's premeditation. I don't never hope nobody get the death penalty. I just hope they throw him on the. I just hope they don't put him. I hope they put him in general population or the population with all the gang members, all the black gang members, so they can talk to him. Don't put him with the white supremacists. That's too easy for him. Put him with everybody else, and we'll figure this thing out.
yeah. That's just like stupid. They got
So
into an argument, and they said like he shot the first two before they drove off, and dude just kept
yeah,
firing, just
then
trying
he
to make sure they was
followed him.
dead. He just kept firing. He
Yeah,
kept shooting them just to make sure they was dead. Till they like
yeah,
passing the dish, and they thought he thought the third dude was dead. So I mean, he intentionally tried to murder these kids.
yeah.
And someone's gonna be at his case. I'm like, he's a good guy. He's never done anything like this. And they're gonna try to give him leniency.
Oh, that
And
brings me to my next issue. I mean, my next comment. I'll tell people this. I'm tired of this. This person, whenever this person does wrong, this person is a good person. No, your experience with that person is a good experience, but that doesn't mean that person's good. I'll give you an example. We can even use me in question. And some people be like, "Oh, he's a loving guy." Most people gonna say loving, funny guy, but you might have some people they experience with me wasn't that great. So they might say, "Oh man, I really don't that he got issues." Like, you know what I mean? And that's their perception of me. That's their experience with me. So I'm tired of these people saying this person's a good guy. You can't be a good guy if you can't keep your feelings and emotions in check and you go kill two people, then follow them and try to kill the third. You can't be a good guy. Your experience with that person might have been good, but that person's not good. Say whatever you want. And you know they
yeah,
was kids and you left. It ain't like they strong armed you, physically assaulted you, and you had to defend yourself. No, you left after a verbal altercation and got in his emotions and feelings. And that is why I want him to go on the predominantly black floor in general population. and let it fall where they may. But they're gonna segregate him, and they probably, when it does happen, he's probably gonna join. He's probably gonna be in the Aryan Brotherhood or whatever it's called. I don't know. I don't really flavor with that nigga. So yeah, but sad story, man. Like you can run up on me at the light, you can lose your life. That's definitely heartbreaking. He had 3 kids, 19. Even if it was a verbal dispute, even if they were wrong, it didn't escalate to a physical toll until Key felt some type of way. People are trying to be emotional.
Already, he could have called the cops and had the cops go and talk to him or something. But no, he decided to kill him himself. You know.
I can't even say if he was wrong. I can't even say that he even needed to call the cops because the simple fact is, when situation's over, it's over. I've had altercations and conversations with younger cats of different ethnicities and just squashed it right there where I could have been like, okay, I'm in my feelings and I'm a escalate it to another level by coming back, even if I felt they was being quasi disrespectful. I would just like, oh, relax, chill, be easy, this is whoop de whoop whoop de whoop, and it's like they see I'm not like tripping, but he probably took it and then I'm gonna go do this, and I feel like that's that. I call it Trumpism, that white supremacist Trumpism, where now you feel emboldened and empowered to, I ain't gonna let these people get over me. The crazy part about it is this is probably pent up frustration. Probably happened to him so many times he felt obligated to do something about it this time instead of just letting it ride.
Yeah, and it's probably never really happened to him, honestly. Cats like that be the ones that feel like they're entitled that because this I'm who I am. This shouldn't happen to me. You know what? I got something for you. Maybe everybody in his family gets over him. He's just like, man, these niggas ain't about to get over him. Maybe he felt like that. I don't know. But
rest his life over. Don't put him in a mental they're gonna try to say crazy. Don't do it.
That's not gonna work.
Such a bad word.
No, but that's not going to work because if they try to do the extenuating circumstance or temporary insanity, they can't do that because he left and came back. So basically, because he left, he left a situation that was causing him distress, which means there was no reason for him to come back. Like if he had the gun on him and shot him right then and there in the heat of the moment, they could claim temporary insanity. But he didn't do it. He walked away and then followed him.
Yeah.
That's called nigga hunting, and he should catch it for it, but he's not. Just like that dude who did it up in Kenosha, Wisconsin. That little kid. Well, he was a 17-year-old, broke like 4 laws, and somehow still out walking around and ain't went to jail for it yet.
I thought he got arrested.
Yeah, they did. Then the right wing people put up the money, the $2 million, to bail him out.
Wow.
And they're trying to say he's a good kid. He's not a racist. He's not this. He's not that. But the thing is, the video that everyone sees of people beating him with a skateboard was after he already shot somebody. And everybody's trying to say that he was self-defense. No, he had already shot somebody before this. That's why they were chasing him. That's why they only showed one person getting shot in that video. He shot 2 other people. So he came there with an AR-15 that he owned illegally because he was too young to have it. He brought it across state lines, and he committed a crime across state lines, which is all illegal in Wisconsin. So he shouldn't have got out. They should have sent him away with no bail, but they didn't. Yeah. Just like the rioters. Come on. I don't trust the justice system with getting any family of color justice on anything. I said I would like to.
Usually they just try to pay you off. I don't trust. I'm to the point now. Let's keep it a buck. I don't really trust this country at all concerning anything. Anytime it has to go to a thing physically as far as court, I believe this to be true, and I've seen it. I was watching something in Belgium about something called Friar Pete or something. We'll get in that another day. I'm probably using the term. It's pretty much Black Pete, which he's like Santa's little helper. and they created him blackface, and people in Belgium were around blackface. Whole other situation. That just brings me to my point of no matter where you are, if you're a minority, especially a black minority, you can't show me a place that will treat you equally. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Whether it's America, I've seen issues in Canada. I've seen issues with people that are even darker, as far as Cubanos, or in Cuba, in the DR, in Brazil. So it's not like it's just white people. Everybody treats us a certain way. They treat us less than. In Asia and China, when everything first bought out, some of the Chinese blamed the Africans for COVID.
Yeah, they kicked them. So, they rounded them up. They rounded them up and kidnapped them from their house and drug them out.
Yeah,
and there's videos of it.
Yeah, and it's signs in China that says no Africans allowed, meaning black people can't come in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like restaurants, like McDonald's had somebody who owned a McDonald's had a sign saying no Africans allowed. Like, so this just isn't this, that, and the other. This just isn't a America problem. This is a world problem. We are the lowest on the totem pole, whether you know it or not. And we even practice colorism and put the people who are the darkest skinned people at the bottom of the totem pole. So we even do it. So we have to fix ourselves before we can fix everybody else. But colorism has to stop. The paper bag in Louisiana, stuff like that. Man, that's all we gotta stop. Like, everybody has to stop. But until we make other people stop, nothing. All we can do is sit and do exactly what we're doing now: bicker online, or bicker through text message, or bicker on YouTube, till people get together and physically change it. Enough people. We're going to continue to have these problems because we're viewed than less than. That's why a black man can get killed. 2 black men can get killed. Or black man can get shot by somebody white, and everybody who's white who knows that person, who had one good, decent experience with him, says this is a good person, and they just made a bad mistake. And why? If the alternative was a black man killing a white man, the outcry and the outrage would be that, first of all, they would try to put him in a gang, whether he was or not. They would try to say he was gang affiliated. They would bring up anything in his past. Even if he had medicinal marijuana, he was on the use of drugs. They'll just use drugs because, or they'll even say mind-altering drugs because they want to paint the narrative that this person was on drugs. Whatever they can to belittle and belittle your character.
Well, yeah, it's because in this country, black people are always guilty till they're proven innocent, and they're still guilty after they're proven innocent. My thing is, you want to make the justice system more fair, like a case like this, have his jury be all black. I would love to see that. When a cop kills a black person, let his jury be all black. When a black person does something, they make their jury all white, right? Or 80 to 90% white.
Predominantly.
A lot of times it'd be like 70 to 80% white.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they always get
yeah, go ahead, finish.
I'm saying, and they always get that conviction because they said, but none of those people are peer to that person. They say you're going to be judged by only people that get judged by a committee of their peers are white people. You don't see a cop go to trial and the whole jury is nothing but black moms with black kids. But you'll see a black person go to trial over killing a white person, and it's nothing but, let's say, kill a white woman. It's mostly white women on it that would be on the jury, because usually I didn't understand it because I thought like a lot of times the prosecution picked the jury, but no, I'm guessing the defense picks the jury on those cases.
They try to agree. They have some people that they try to throw out, but if you have 30 people to pick from, or even 20, and you got to pick 12, they might be the best 12, but it don't mean they gonna. It don't mean you're gonna get the desired effect.
True.
And honestly, I literally question everything about the civil the justice system in general, because it's funny. Like, when you look at the numbers, demographic numbers, white people, there really is no maybe they're at a 50% majority, right around there. Like as far as total population in the United States, I'd have to Google it. But it's funny, they're right at about 50%. You got Latinos and African Americans who are in the probably combined in the 35 to 40% range. Actually, yeah, probably about 40 to 45%. So I don't even think white people are at the 50% clip anymore. As far as total population, they're the biggest majority, but they don't have the overwhelming 50% majority. But when you go to
Yeah,
juries, like I was a juror a few times, it's surprisingly 70 to 80% white, which makes me suspect how is you only at this percentage, you only at this percentage, but you're showcased at this percentage when it comes to juries. Consistently, there's an issue with the justice system on how and why these people are getting jury duty at a more rapid rate in the percentage. That's something that should be looked into. But the justice system won't look into itself. Look at what they just did. Was it Reggie Woods? Did you hear about that story?
what story is that?
Reggie Woods, he was a bodyguard slash FBI, FBI, New York undercover police officer who said he pretty much set up Malcolm X on his deathbed and wrote a letter, a confession about it. It just came out a few days ago. It was his cousin or something. I want to say it's Ray Woods released it. Said he had 56 years of guilt. Whatever. I think it might even came out in 2011 or something, or it might have been 2021. He said 50 something years of guilt. Yeah, 56 years of guilt will be. Yeah, it just came out few days ago. I sent it to you on IG, where his cousin or something has the signed confession. He said he was told to what he did. He set up Malcolm X's bodyguards, his other bodyguards that he knew were legit and like real about it. He had them set up in the days before the Autobahn, before Malcolm X got killed. He got them set up for felonious crime, so they went to jail. That's why security was light and they were able to get in there. Now, they may have had people in the nation go do that, Kelly, but they literally, of course, everybody know, man, this is the first time. You give me a black person that was killed and they try to say somebody else killed them, I say, hey, but if they're in a position of power, you've been following them forever. Tupac, Biggie. It just doesn't stop. It doesn't start with Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, and Huey Newton and everybody
Huey
that has
Newton,
died.
Medgar Evers. It's a lot of what they
Yeah,
did. Anybody who tried to change our place, anybody who tried to give
yeah,
us equality. That's the thing. Like anybody else will stand up and say whatever they want for any other group of people in this country, but when they talk about black people getting equality, that's when they've gone too far. When they talk about black people getting, treated fairly, they've gone too far. And it's just amazing to me that we're the only people in this country that our leaders get murked by the government. No one else's does. Like no one
no,
else.
only place in this country, only people in this country are us. But it happens to even our leaders in Africa are gunned down by European and American interests when they start to speak out against us, when they start to speak out against colonialism. Because let's just face it, this country is still built on colonialism. This continent is built on European colonialism. European and American colonialism. Think about it. In the last 500 years, I'll pull up the numbers, but think about it. Can you name a top 50? Let's go top 25 country, like as far as GDP in Africa. Can you name one? You
No,
froze there, broski?
no. I was thinking because
Can you name?
I said no. I can't name
Because
one.
probably doesn't exist. It's probably really hard. Maybe a northern African country. I'm talking about GDP with what they make. I mean, as far as what they export for what they make. The country. I don't think I could think of one. I think I would go. You could probably go all through Europe. You could hit up the United States, of course, Canada, and then probably all through Europe. You got your Spains, your Portugals, your Frances, your Russias, and then you could probably hit Asia and go to Japan and China, and even Australia, which is a continent-sized country. And then you maybe even, maybe you can get into different places, maybe a place or two in South America. But what I'm trying to tell you is this. I say that to say this. Gold, diamonds, oil are predominantly in Africa. Platinum. Think about it. The battery that they use for the cell phone, the world's largest portion of that is currently where China is, in Africa, to make batteries for cell phones and your laptops. I forgot what it's called. But the biggest reserve of that currently in the world is in Africa. So you would figure with everything, the gold, the diamonds, the oil, and and different stuff like that, different minerals and stuff like that, you think Africa would be the richest continent. It should be, but it's not. Everybody else owns those companies that get the supplies from Africa, and then they take it back to their country, and then repolish it up, rebrand it, and sell it.
Yeah. They're called vultures. That's all they are, vultures. Yeah, and Canada, China is the next one to do colonialism, and they feel just like the white people feel about us, and we somehow still get in our business. But until
big shouts out in a negative way to Akon, like he did a deal with them. Everybody like, oh, this deal is great. I'm like, man, this deal's a piece of shit, bro. You even though I shouldn't like Mel Gibson, and I don't. I remember his quote in one of his movies. Would you like a one tyrant 1,000 miles away or 1,000 tyrants 1 mile away? I feel like us as a people would prefer one tyrant 1,000 miles away. That's why we never want us to grow. We'll just do business with other people. And then we sign bad business deals. Like the deals that I had looked at are ridiculous. This is how bad some of the deals was that happened. You got stolen. You're a prisoner of war, because that's what it is when you were a slave. You're a prisoner of war. And to get out of slavery, once you did finally decide to free yourself, all these countries were going to attack you if you did not pay them reparations for you getting stolen into being a prisoner of war or slavery. That's what France did. France did it to Haiti. You figure Haiti, with the cane sugar, with the sugar trade, should have been huge. They were, but they had to give up like 60 to 70% of their income back to France. If not, France was going to attack them because they wanted to be free. It's the same with African countries with colonialism. They try to get free. Belgium even did that. Belgium even attacked different countries. Hey, Portugal, you're gonna pay us this amount of money to be free. So you're never really free. You're free in a sense. But all our resources, we have to give you such a big portion for you doing nothing that we can't make it on our own.
Yeah.
Think about it. After prisoners of war, because that's what we were, / slavery ended in the United States, didn't the masters get reparations?
Yes, they did.
We didn't. Go fend for yourself. But the masters, or the European white people, Euro American as we use them, Euro American, were given reparations. Meanwhile, we just say, hey, go fend for yourself. Bye. We did everything we could. And that's just the gist of it.
Yeah, but you gotta remember, we were never really out of slavery, though. As soon as they ended, you gotta remember, every time they gave us something, they wrote another law to take it back. Yeah, remember, after slavery, I wrote the 13th Amendment. What did the 13th Amendment say? No one should hold slaves.
Once you get arrested for a trumped up crime, pretty much you can work as a slave with no rights.
Basically, yes. You cannot own slaves in this country unless the person commits a crime. So what happens next? They create the crime of loitering, which you were charged with if you left the plantation and didn't have a job. Think about that. You're just free from slavery. You can't have a job. There's no way you can have a job. So if you left the plantation, which made them say that you didn't have a job, you got charged with it. So how was that ever meant to let us be free?
It wasn't. It's called. It's not even. We're still not free. Think
Yeah, we're
about it.
not.
60s, redlining, redistricting, 60s, 70s, even 80s. Think about it, man. Think about it. Now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
tell you this: some people gonna look at people who are doing successful and be like, "Oh, they're doing really successful," and I agree. But I'm saying, is that just a small percentage, or is it the whole of us in totality? And I'm telling you, it's just a small percentage. Remember, optics. You got to make it look like if these people are failing on their own, not. And at that point, you got to have people succeed. So how do they have people succeed? Entertainment, things that entertain us. We've always been great entertainers. We've always been great at this. But things that entertain us, athletes, rappers, things that entertain us are the
yeah.
people will let financially make it and will say, hey, if you can't make it, you can't do this, that, and the other. You should be able to, well, I shouldn't say just rappers, musicians and athletes. And I'm not saying several other people didn't make it another way, but I'm just saying in general, we're still oppressed.
Well, yeah, they say the wealth of the average white home is like 20 times, or it's like 10 or 20 times that of the average black family. So until that comes down a whole lot, you can't say that the system was ever meant for us to have any kind of chance of equality. You know?
We should buy a house in the neighborhood that you currently live in, put beautiful pictures of white people up, and sell it for a 30% profit. I only say that because it was a story in I want to say California. They had not their house was the black couple, American Dream,
Yeah.
California. What was it, Calabasas? $988,000 is what their house was appraised for. They're like, we think that's a little low. We bought it for like 8, and then we just put 400 into it. So you mean
Yeah.
to tell me our house only worth 980? That's only no. We missed 200 grand. So they had a white friend put all pictures up of white people and had told the lender we want somebody else to appraise it. Appraised at $1.48 million, meaning they made 600 grand, which means off their improvements they made 200 grand instead of losing
300.
300 grand.
Yeah, well, no, that's not the only case of it.
Yeah.
I think there was like either there was another one where they showed like this couple. It was a mixed couple, and
Mm-hmm.
they was trying to sell their house, and they got it appraised, and it was like 100 and I guess it's around 200 some odd, $300,000, and they felt like it was wrong because every house in the neighborhood was appraised for much more. So
Mm-hmm.
the wife, who was a black woman, took down all the pictures of their family and had the husband put up another picture of his family, and it appraised for like 60,000 more, 70,000 more, and it's like, how is this? How is any part of this fair? You know, how is any of this equal?
That's because even when you get something, it's somebody who don't want you to have it.
Yeah,
So since they can't take it from you, they can devalue it as much as they can. So they devalue the things we have. They devalue
yeah,
us. Everything we touch is devalued. Everything we touch is devalued because
yes,
we're not equal.
yeah.
We're not.
I mean, there will be,
Yeah.
like they said, like the founding fathers said. We're not saying that they're not humans, but someone has to be on the bottom rung, and it's not going to be white people.
Pretty
Even
much.
Abraham Lincoln said that. Even Abraham Lincoln made that statement in not so many words, but he made that same statement. The guy who we're supposed to praise for freeing us felt the same way. But
I don't really
you
praise
know,
any president.
huh?
I don't really praise any president.
Well, there hasn't really been one worth really praising. sorry to say it, 'cause I know everybody's like, but what about Obama? But Obama was cool, but he tried to be too nice. He should have did some stuff for. He should have forced some stuff too instead of trying to work on with both sides of the aisle because you already knew Republicans wasn't going to do it. So he got stuff done like partially.
Yeah. And that's tough, man. That's honestly that's life. But
Yeah.
that's life.
Yeah.
I definitely tell anybody, man, invest in yourself. Like invest. Support each other.
Invest in yourself, invest in your family, invest in your community. Try to build something without these other people. Because the other people don't give a rat's ass about you.
They only care about the bottom line. I really need to start up a bank account with Greenwood.
Yeah.
So support Killer Mike. He's been out here doing it. You had some really good guys in the music industry. You had Neighborhood Nip, RP Nipsey Hussle, Killer Mike. There's some other guys. I don't know them all, I'm just saying those two in general are really about their community and really about helping the people.
And there's actually surprisingly a lot of the new cats is on that stuff too. Like I'm trying to think. It's one of the new cats that was going around like giving out paying for financial literacy classes for like black kids in his neighborhood and stuff. I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of people trying.
There's some people out here. People out here doing good, and there's some people out here that's interesting.
Yeah. Then there's vultures. There's always vultures in our community.
There's vultures in every community. We just have to realize that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, as it said, because those people not really your relatives. They not.
Yeah.
You hear what Herschel Walker said? He said black people don't deserve reparations.
Of course he did. Because he ain't black, he's OJ,
Cool.
This is
Cooning.
But one day he might learn just like OJ had to learn. OJ thought he was one of the others until he got to jail, and then realized he ain't one of the brothers either because motherfuckers ain't want to support him after that shit either because he turned his back on us. So,
Man, black people are so welcoming. We still took OJ back. We didn't even like him. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Most of us didn't even like him, and we wanted him to get away with it if he did it.
Yes.
Just so somebody could get the other benefit of getting away with it.
Yeah. That is true.
It ain't like we really messed with OJ after that. And then when he did some other stuff, we like, go to jail. Go to jail. You ain't learned? Go to jail. Everybody know the code. You was supposed to go sit your ass down somewhere. Go to jail.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll learn something in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. I'm enjoying it. Herschel Walker, man, all I can say is understand that why people like you was for your physical exploits on the football field. That's why they even pay attention to you. I'm not saying you don't have degrees because you may. I didn't really look at your bio because I really don't care as far as your bio, as far as that. But when you speak, you give people credence. Your voice is more powerful than you think. And when you speak, you give people credence to issues that they don't want to do. They don't want to pay reparations. So if I could ever talk to you and ask you a question, my first question would be this line of questions. Why did the Jews deserve reparations from World War II when this happened in Germany, not even America? Why did Asians get the Japanese get reparations and the Chinese get reparations? Why did the white slave masters get reparations after slavery? I would ask him all those questions just to see what his answer would be. And I'm saying after all of that, you don't think it's fair that we get them?
And even if we don't get reparations for slavery, they still owe us for this last 100 years of bullshit they put us through. With the Black Code, sharecropping, Jim Crow, the 13th Amendment, the war on drugs, fucking drugs in general, because we didn't bring them into our neighborhoods.
We had no planes.
We didn't have planes and boats. We didn't bring them in. I'm just saying, 3 strikes was pointed at us. The crime bill, the Clintons' crime bill, all that. We deserve reparations for all that. The whole criminal justice system, we deserve reparations for. There are many black people, as well as other people who are just poor, who are in the system. They got screwed over for no reason. Because some people there's like thousands of people waiting for trial who's been in there for years because they couldn't afford bail. And their court date has not come up. Like, they've been in it for years, and none of them court date has come up, but they're stuck in jail because they can't pay bail.
It happened to Kalief Browder.
Yes, and then there's times when they realize that they did something really messed up, and then they won't let you out. Like the judge released you, but the prison system won't let you out until you sign a paper saying that you won't sue them. There's people who stayed in jail an extra 2, 3, 4 years after they were acquitted because they found out that a lot of the cops involved in their cases was crooked. But because they didn't want to sign the paper saying that they wouldn't sue.
Yeah, before I get out of here, I'm gonna tell you this story. This true story. This happened. Some people I know. City we from. It's one guy, suspected guy. I wasn't there, so I don't know. Supposedly robbed a church by where I used to live at, by where I still actually own property. Robbed them. This other guy that I know went to jail for it and was going to do years. He was already in there, I want to say, for a little bit, maybe a few years, 18 months, a few years. They told him, we found new evidence saying that you did not do it like you said you didn't. So you got 2 options. You can sign this paper and not sue and be home today, or you can drag this out in litigation, even though we know you're free. You can be here another 3, 4 years. He signed that paper that day. He's back home that day. And he said he just mentally didn't want to take it as far as waiting that amount of time to get out. 2 or 3 years is hard. So these people trying to get out of jail, they know they didn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that my friend who was in jail was a saint. And some people are, oh, well, that's karma. But he didn't do that crime.
Yeah.
And far too often it's happening where it's just we're given this, that, and the other, where it's, hey, you did this, and it's like, no, I really didn't do that. Well, you pretty much did it today.
But the whole problem with that is, couldn't those people basically nullify that paper that they signed, saying that they signed under duress? Because they're basically being forced and coerced into signing that paper. That alone makes that paper invalid. And if those people who signed this paper decide to get a lawyer, they can get out of that. Because they literally forced and extorted them into signing those papers.
Yeah.
Because that is actually kidnapping, what they're doing, and extortion.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Being that most of us don't know stuff like that, and they're just happy to be free. And because I've seen it happen with some people in my family, if you stand up to the police in court, sometimes they try to retaliate. They stalk your house. They show up at night. They follow you. They try to intimidate you to make your life a living hell.
Yeah.
So
newsflash, life is already pretty bad.
Yeah. And don't make it no easier if you feel like you're being hunted by the people you're supposed to protect. But on that note, I'm Winston. Got any last words?
Cuddy Coastal. Remember, it is what it is. Never ask for what you can't give. That's my thought. Never ask for what you can't give. If you know you can't give it, don't even ask for it. Far too many times people ask for what they can't give. I only give what I respect in return.
True.
That's it for me.
All right, and I'm out. So everyone have a good night. This is Winston. That's Cuddy. And good night from BS and Viewpoints. See you next week.
Bye.